Thank you for joining me for lesson 104 of daily Sefer mitzvah study. Today we're learning positive mitzvah number 148. And as we've seen in the past, there are many commandments that the positive and the negative commandment um, both are presented by the Torah. So there would be a negative commandment, a commandment not to do something, and a positive commandment to do something, and they're both linked to each other, both in regard to the same action. And often the positive commandment overrides the negative commandment. In this case, that is not the way that it works. There's no way except one that the Rambam talks about for this mitzvah that we're going to talk about now to override the one we talked about yesterday. Yesterday we talked about you're not allowed to take the mother bird and her young, even if they're eggs, at the same time. If you find them in the wild, this does not go for the animals that you find, in your chicken coop. That's a different situation. But in the wild, you see a nest. You shoo away the birds, and then you can take the young or the eggs. So the mitzvah was that you're not allowed to take both at the same time. This mitzvah is the positive mitzvah, which I already kind of spoiled. Deuteronomy 22:7 says, "You shall surely send away the mother, and the children you may take for yourself." And from what I understand, it's also understood as even if you're going to take the mother, you don't just take her off of the nest. You first send her away, and then if you were going to take the mother, you would have to take her away from the nest and not as she's sitting on the nest. And so once again, this shows a compassion that Hashem has for even the smallest little animals. And there are even purification ceremonies that appear in the Torah that involve two birds, and so it would be really convenient if you could take a mother and the child bird at the same time. But you're not allowed to do that. And there's a mitzvah, or there's a reward that's mentioned, an immediate reward, a reward in this world, that your days would be long, that you the same reward that's given for the mitzvah to honor your father and mother, that your days may be long in the land. And so this comes to show us that even the smallest of the commandments, which we're told that this ranks among the smallest of the commandments, um, carries with it a very great reward. And we know the reward of two of these, that you should honor your father and mother, that your days may be long, and then also shoo away the mother bird, and that your days may be long. And maybe there's other connections that we could make here, but one of the teachings that we receive in Judaism is that uh, that we know these two mitzvahs. One's a very heavy mitzvah, and one seems like it's a lighter mitzvah, but they carry the same reward. And so what this comes to tell us is we really don't know the reward of each mitzvah, and so we should do every mitzvah with alacrity and with the thought that, first of all, we shouldn't be doing mitzvahs for only for rewards, but we don't prioritize certain mitzvahs because we think they have greater reward than others. We don't know what the rewards are for each of these mitzvahs, and so it's very important that we don't neglect even the lightest of the commandments, and we should do the lightest of the commandments, and we should also teach the lightest of the commandments, and that's how we get to be great in the kingdom. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great day in every way.